Got it.
Do you want me to share my screen, Mary?
Oh, please. I made you a co-host. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and I'll call this in order since we're recording and Darren can pick up the pieces when we get back in. But let's I want to open the disaster relief portion of the agenda here, or a portion of the meeting. And don't believe we have any guests. I guess Penny would technically still be a guest. So welcome, Penny. Thank you for being here. And the first item would be Carol, review and approve the DRF financial.
Okay. So the good news is that there have been no changes whatsoever. Let's not do that. No changes since December. So we were 108,000 with donor restrictions in the bank, 10,000 without. The statement of activity is pretty straightforward. We had one donation of $1,000 and one payment of $50. And that was just a tax.
Was there any growth in the money?
There's no, it's not an interest-bearing account.
Oh.
Should it be?
Is there any reason why it shouldn't be in a
Yes, there is. Supposedly there are some restrictions about what this is a 501c3, and there are some restrictions about what monies can be used. And I don't know what the rules are, but I know that you have to watch out not having interest-bearing accounts on some of these things. So that's all I know. If you like, I will check with Ashley and ask her what if there's a reason why it's not interest-bearing. But I know that on a couple of other things where I'm involved, they can't be interest-bearing accounts.
Yeah,
Hey, Carol, when you email Ashley, carbon copy in Bert Terreri. He was the attorney.
I don't know who that is.
Bert Terreri is
Bert.
Yeah, he's the attorney that set up the foundation. He would be able to answer that question too.
I mean, given that it's been in existence for quite some time and has not been interest bearing, I just assumed that this fell under that.
Well, given the fact that it's a kind of a limited activity on this, do we want to move forward then and look for a motion to pass to approve the DRF financials?
I would think so.
I motion to approve.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
First and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Clarify, who was
opposed?
the second on that, please? Was that Jim?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
And the next thing on
Item
this
2.
is that we have a bank resolution to change. You're going to be seeing bank resolutions to change the signatories going forward for July 1st. So everybody moves up. We remove Tom from the account, and we have James, Christine, and Jeff and me as signatories on this account. So I need board approval on this as well, please.
Jennifer moves.
Motion. Justin, yes. Second.
Jennifer seconds.
Jennifer second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Great.
May I ask a question before we close this? Carol, we had, which bank is the disaster relief fund with?
Umpqua.
Has there been any discussion, and you can either throw it into this one or the finance committee meeting, I don't know, as far as consolidating some of these bank accounts so that they're not in so many different banks?
They're actually not in, we have 2 in Umpqua, and that's the operating account and DRF.
Mm-hmm.
We have 5 in Exchange Bank, And those are RILA, the merchant account, the grants account, and the youth exchange accounts. And then the reserves are in B of A. So
That was-
actually, we hardly ever touch the reserves, and that's not a big deal because I don't deal with them. And in terms of my ease of use, Umpqua is in my local Safeway, and Exchange Bank is right across the street. So it's pretty handy. I would say it would be a question for the new treasurer incoming next year. How, I don't know what town that person's going to live in and what access to banking facilities are going to be, but it's worked perfectly for me.
Okay, yeah, no, the only thing I had, it works really well when the district governors are near the banks. It was a little bit not so much fun for the district governors that wasn't near that bank. So,
Right.
because you've got 3 different banks that you had to go and sign, all these people have to go sign signature cards for. So it's, my only thing is just at some point, maybe not having 3 different banks, but maybe there's a good reason for it. So anyway, just wanted it out there for a matter of course.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
We need to adjourn
Um,
this meeting first, Tom.
What do we have to do?
You have to adjourn it.
Adjourn the RF.
Oh, okay, do I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second?
Christine second.
Okay, we're adjourned. And on to the next District 5130 Budget and Finance Committee meeting. We'll call it to order. Again, Penny, nice to see you here. First action item, Carol, back over to you.
Okay, what fun. Here we go, financial reports. So have people had a chance to look at these? The cash accounts are what they are. So we have 86,000 in operating. The merchant account as of day before yesterday had 17,000. I just transferred 15,000 yesterday from the merchant account over into operating. The merchant account is the account when you register for the district conference or you register for training assembly or anything that we collect through Valerie Halsey and DACDB goes into that merchant account. And so as the money in there builds up and up and up, when it gets to a certain level, I just take that money and throw it in operating. Neither of them are interest bearing, so it doesn't really matter, but I try to keep it in operating. This is the district grant money. We've only had 1 district to grant, actually 2 paid. We'll talk about those. This $2,100 in clearing is money that came in from for RILA that I now have transferred over to the RILA account, but as of March 31st, it was still in the operating account. Here are the bank accounts for the program funds, which are RILA and the 3 youth exchange bank accounts. And here are our reserves, which haven't changed a lot. They earn $5 a month in interest. So our total cash is $474,000 at the end of March. Accounts receivable I'll be presenting schedules in a minute, but I'm just going to go through this right now. $9,400 in receivables. Event deposits, that's the DoubleTree and Jim's district conference deposit, 17.2. So total assets of $500,000. Stop me if you want to stop me, anybody. Accounts payable, we'll talk about those in a minute. Here's the credit card. So the credit card is strictly used for things that come up, but it's our automatic billing, like for bill.com or things that I need to pay credit cards for. But we have a couple of things on auto bill and those hit that credit card. This is Rotoplas emissions with the offset there. Nothing's happened with that. So that's just pending. Okay, moving on. Any questions on the balance sheet so far? Okay, moving on. So these are the dues that were billed back in July. 83,000. We have $4,500 in district conference sponsorships that were receivables as of March 31st, but the money has actually been received, so that's in. And these are the income sides of our events, like Foundation Dinner North brought in 63,000. So far for the RI convention reception, 77,700 has come in. And then this is the program income. This looks a little bit funny, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but it is what it is. There are some changes in Western Safari, and that the program is not going to be given this year, so they did some refunds. So that it kind of shows strange, but we'll get to that. Here are the reserves. Here's DTA. So the DTA, this was income that had come in at March 31st. Obviously, it didn't happen until the following weekend. So additional income was booked in April, but that doesn't show on this statement. Here's the block grant for our district match grants that came from TRF. And that's the income side. Here's the RI subsidy that we get and some interest income, just minor, $51. So that's what's earned on those reserve accounts. That's our only interest bearing device. So we have $277,000 in gross profit. And then here are our expenses. So our DGE expenses, DGN and all that. I'm just going to scan through these because it's easier to see them on the next sheet that has it broken out by class. So I'm just going to keep going down here. So our bottom line expenses right now is 90,000 with net operating income of 186. Of course, we don't have a whole bunch of expenses that are about to hit that. So we will starting in April and May. And then here's the breakdown by class. So I'm just going to page through this gently. If anybody sees something that looks funny or they have a question about, just holler. I think everything is in the right place. Nothing really unusual. Everything kind of going according to plan. The foundation dinner, your program expenses. So these are the expense sides of the youth stuff. Again, here's training. So here's DTA. Obviously, there are more expenses, but they hit in April. So we won't see those until we look at the financial statements for next time. We've got a breakout of the district match grants and the environmental grants coming up. Here are our general and administrative. You'll notice that we have a negative number there for insurance. That's because we paid that $4,000 insurance policy and then got a refund back. So it turned out to be a negative number. Okay, any questions on that? Good. Okay, hearing silence, I will move forward. So these are the supporting schedules that you always have to back up. So this is the aging, accounts receivable aging at 3/31. We're starting to build RILA students to the various clubs. Here are the two sponsorships, Hansel and Exchange Bank for the district conference. As I said, those have both been paid now. Some of these RILA payments have been paid, others, and there are new payments that have new invoices that I've put out so far in April. But it's moving along, nobody's late, everybody's fine. And if we go down, here are our event deposits. There's our old friend from Doubletree back to 2019. And River Lodge, which is Jim's deposit for district conference, his district conference in 2025. And then here we've got aging. So this is an aging for, this is a credit that Jim owes back because I double paid him by accident. This is the grant for Sebastopol Sunrise. This is their environmental grant, and these are some expense reimbursements for Tom. The only thing that's on the aging as of 3/31. And here are those grants. So we've paid, as of right now, we've paid 2 of the district match grants. And we've paid 1 environmental grant, $600.
Do you want me to speak to that real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so I got my foundation chair hat on. So Terry Derrynick is the grants chair, and she and I have been talking about this. We're working on not only getting the certifications in for next year's grant, but we're also starting to push pretty hard. The weather this year slowed down a lot of the environmental grants and slowed down a lot of actually the district grants as well. So we're anticipating that we're probably going to get a flood here in the next 4 weeks of hopefully completed applications. There's a couple clubs that we know weren't able to actually get their project even going or done. So that money that doesn't get used for the environmental or the district grants at the end of the year, or if Tom doesn't use it for some sort of a project before the end of the year, then it'll get rolled back up into the global DDF. But we are pushing on the clubs pretty hard to remind them of their May 31st deadline for both of these grants.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Okay, that's it on that. Then we've got budget to actual. So this is always something that people like to see, you know, what did I say I was going to do and what have I actually done? So remember at this point that the actual column here is for the entire year. And the budget is for the entire year. The actual is for the first 9 months. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, but because we have so much stuff that's weighted in the spring, it's just hard to do it so that it looks realistic, but here you go. So we have supposedly $50,000 that we're going to be anticipating for additional revenue for the district conference. Already got 4,500 in. This was the foundation. So the foundation dinner was estimated at 11.5, the income. But the whole idea with these events is we want them to net to 0. So even if we had a budget of 11 of income and an expense budget of 11, it doesn't matter as long as what the actual was came kind of close to what the expenses were. So the goal is to net to 0. So we're in pretty good shape there. This looks like it's real low, but it turned out okay.
That we're really talking about the foundation dinner that we did in Ukiah on
Correct.
this. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Here's the RI convention reception. I assume we're going to be getting a bunch more registrations for that. We've gotten some. I haven't really looked at it for April, but this is what had come in through March.
Christine, do you want to?
Yeah, we have about 17 more coming in. That'll come in one big check.
17 period.
17 more on top of what you have there. We don't have a huge response, unfortunately. So we have about, let me just do the math real quick. Right now we have 37 registered at $60 a pop. So the total coming in should be 2,220.
And we are doing this in conjunction with some other districts.
Yes, we are. Two
Right.
other districts. Yeah. But so if we have 37 at $60 a piece, I assume maybe a few more will come in, but I think that's probably going to be where we kind of settle in, is at 37 people.
And are we're getting charged by how many people we send? Is that true?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how the expense side of this is working. Are we committed to a dollar amount for the expense?
Yeah, $60 per person.
Okay, so we are
Yes.
paying per person.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So that's good. So we really can't get hurt too much.
No, we certainly will not.
Okay,
Hey,
good.
Christine, just a quick question. How many
Yes.
how many total are registered from District 5130 for the convention?
It's in my report. I believe we're at 66% of goal.
33.
33.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the one thing is sometimes the people that are registered from our district forget to sign up for the, as Jim can attest to as well, sometimes the people from our district that are registered for the convention forget to sign up for the district social.
Yeah, and they've been emailed separately.
Yeah, I figured they probably had. Okay.
Yep. And we'll keep trying. I mean, each boat, we have 3 boats and each boat holds 45. So if we get a few more from any of the districts, we'll be okay. We just don't want to have to get to a 4th boat for the cruise. So we're kind of trying to encourage people to move quickly and get registered. But I'll keep, 37 is pretty good, but I'd like to get to 45 if we could.
Okay. Thank you, Christine.
Sure.
Here's district program income. So Ryla has brought in 13.4 so far. We've only registered, I want to say like 10 to 12 students. And I think that Cassie's expecting something on the order of 55. So I expect that number to grow substantially. So the deal with the Western Safari income is that they decided very recently not to have the program this year. So that meant they had invoiced and received funds from several campers, a lot of campers, and so they had to give that money back. And there's some accounting ins and outs right now that are a little bit fuzzy. That Mark McGowan is going to be working on. So I don't know that it's accurate.
Carol, I had a conversation yesterday with Hyder regarding this, and he left me with that it's not conclusive that they have actually canceled it this year, but they are looking at an alternative plan that would still give an experience for those who would attend. But it sounded to me like this thing was still pretty much up in the air, that the confirmation of a cancellation hadn't been made. So this is kind of, counter to the conversation I had with him yesterday. If they've already submitted these as returns on the dollars given, but my understanding is that Western Safari, because of the lack of participants for individuals to be with the kids, they don't have the ability to actually pull that off. But there's another organization that ties in one where they fly to Phoenix and pretty much do all of the elements that this crew does outside of Yosemite, but they do the Disneyland, the Las Vegas, the Grand Canyon, and then it drops them back off in San Francisco is the final location for it. So it sounds to me like there's some things that they're trying to work through at the for Rotary Youth Exchange to still try and have some sort of a program. So I'm not really quite sure how those dollars set out there. If you were told that those are dollars that are already returned, or if
They've
they're
already
just
been
holding
returned,
them.
Tom.
Pardon me?
They have already been returned.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can give some insight as far as that goes. The alternative trip that they have available to them is through Bello, which is the same company that does their Hawaii trip. So those funds wouldn't go through our accounting at all. So all of the funds that came in for Western Safari originally back out to use them for the different organization.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on. So here's the repayment of advances. We didn't do we had $3,000 in the budget for the Ken Moulton Leadership Program and decided not to do that. Here's DTA North income. So it ended up at 10,830 and it was planned for 10. Here's the grant money coming in from TRF. And here's the total income. So we were anticipating total income of 190. As of right now, we've got 284. If we look at expenses, so things I think are pretty much in the right place. I think there will be, so we had 15,000 planned for an international convention, and obviously I haven't gotten those reimbursements in yet because it hasn't happened. Tom is a little low on, and I mean, that's a good thing. We had budgeted $6,000 for official club visits, and he's at 3,700. And of course, he's pretty much done with individual club visits. And we had some other fairly chunky reserves in here. We had some money in here for the RI president dinner. That didn't happen. Now, I don't know why this, oh, see, this Zone Institute thing, we had one big 13.8 here, but when I actually paid it, I broke it out down here. Okay. And then we had $8,000 for other transportation, food, and lodging. And that covers things of that the DG line goes and drives someplace to do a special event or a dinner or something that doesn't fall under the category of official club visit. So I put it here under this other transportation, food, and lodging. And you see we had $8,000 budgeted for that. First 9 months of the year, we haven't even spent $2,000. So we're in pretty good shape here in terms of budgeting 55 and only having spent 22. Here's our district conference money. Of course, that's going to all start coming in next month. We won't see too much of that. And here's what I was saying about the foundation dinner. Even though we had budgeted 11 in and 11 out, it worked out to like 6,000 in, 6,000 out. So it's pretty darn close. Program expenses, we said that we were going to do $8,000 to youth exchange, and we did. We ended up also giving $1,000 to Rotex, which was good. Although that wasn't budgeted. So we didn't have anything in the budget here. Here's training stuff. So there was some grants training on there. Here was an offset for the Ken Moulton leadership thing. Again, we had nothing in the income and nothing in expense. Here's PETS training. Now I just got another bill from PETS this morning, so this is going to be a little bit higher. And I guess, so there weren't any expenses, Jim, I guess, for pre-PETS training this year.
No, it was all online.
Okay. And then if we go down here, here's district training assembly. We had budgeted $10,000 in expenses and it came in at 10,174. That you don't get much closer than that. I think that's just a very astute budgeting. It takes a lot of concentration and everything. Now, why we had DAC-DB and tech training in there, I don't even know whether that's necessary going forward, but we did. We don't really budget for the district match grants, so they're just in there. And here's general admin. So we have 26,000 budgeted, and so far we've spent, here's the big swing right here, is this insurance. So we had to pay the 42, and then, as I said, we got the refund. And here's disaster relief. So we said we were going to give $1,000 to disaster relief. We have not done that yet. We had $1,500 in there for contingencies. We had 10 in there for club branding support. We've spent $1,282. So that's what I know about budget to actual. Questions about that? Everybody says, no. Okay, so I would like to ask for a motion and approval on those financial reports, please. Mary?
Jennifer moves to approve.
We have a motion. Second,
Mike, second.
Mike says second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to one of the things that we have to do, the board has to do every year, is to approve the program budgets for the coming year for anything that we're going to do for program. And that includes RILA and Youth Exchange. So for RILA, this looks amazingly like the budget that Cassie submitted last year. It's based on 55 campers. She thinks there's a good chance that she's going to have 65. I'm pleased to tell you, I know this is a shameless plug, but Windsor is sending 5 students this year.
That's a shameless plug. By the way,
is.
one of the reasons that she's going to go that high is because of the inviting or allowing. We were asked to invite other students from another district, and so we actually have several that are going to be coming in from out of district, and that's really great. And she has plenty of room for them. So.
But the main reason that we're excited is that we finally, after all these years, have a functioning Interact Club once again. And our Interact Club kids are just crazy to go to RILA. So that's like very exciting. Okay, so this is the budget for RILA. We think she's copying me on her communication with Westminster Woods, confirming that dates are fine and cabin availability is fine, and she's on top of it. So I think that budget is good and looks decent. Here is the Youth Exchange budget. And this is, they are going to do a fundraiser this year for golf. And I think you've probably seen the fundraiser, the flyer that's come out in the email saying save the date. So there's golf, there's some money coming in. They're asking for $2,000 from the district. They will be asking for $2,000 next year for Rotex. Western Safari is on there, but it's up in the air as to whether that's going to happen or not. And then here's Youth Exchange. And then here's all of the stuff, and it nets to 0. So this also looks like an $8,000. So what the Youth Exchange folks are looking to the district for is $8,000 for Youth Exchange, which is what we have contributed the last several years, and $2,000 for Rotex. We haven't given anything for Rotex in some of the years right before me. And then since the program started getting going again, we gave $1,000 in this year, Tom's year, and they're asking for $2,000 in Jim's year. Okay, any questions on that budget? Okay.
It just seems like it would be easy to increase the Rotex based on the idea that we wouldn't be putting dollars out on the Western Safari. But
Well, we don't ever put dollars out on Western Safari.
oh, okay, perfect.
So it works. So then I would like to request a approval
Motion.
for the RILA and Youth Exchange budgets.
Do I get a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Dustin seconds. Any other conversation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Next.
Okay, next item, we need to change the have resolutions to change the signatories on the bank accounts. And I have 3 sets of resolutions. I won't show you you can see the resolutions if you want to see them, but basically it's the same thing that we looked at before, which is moving Tom off and moving Jim, Christine, and Jeff on there with me. And this is for all the bank accounts. There are no changes being made. The one that you're seeing that is missing, if there is a missing one, is the one for Youth Exchange, because they're not making any changes to their signatories. They're leaving everybody the same. And since I'm the same on there, we don't have to change anything. Next year with a new district treasurer, we will have to redo everything. So I'd like
Get a
to ask
motion?
for, yeah,
Move to approve, Mike.
Michael says he moves to approve. Second?
Jennifer seconds.
Jennifer's the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes.
thank
And
you. And then the last and final thing is an update on the DOJ and franchise tax board situations. DOJ has cashed all of the checks that we paid them. Yay! And accepted, and we are in good standing with the Department of Justice for the registration of charitable trusts. So both Disaster Relief Fund and Rotary International District. And remember, when you say it, you guys, it's not Rotary District 5130, it's Rotary International District 5130. This is one of the reasons we had a problem, because they got confused about the name at DOJ. And then, of course, because of that problem, Franchise Tax Board had canceled our tax exempt status. In the last board meeting, I asked for and received your approval to have our former district treasurer, Ashley Deal, who is a CPA and experienced in these things, put out the paperwork and go forward to reapplying and getting our status as tax exempt reinstated with the Franchise Tax Board. She is in the process of doing that. She's about to file the final documents this week, and she would like the board to give her the approval to sign the initial application as a representative, not a member of the board, but just you can sign as representative. So I'd like to ask the board to say, yep, Ashley can sign that.
Do you need a motion on that?
Oh,
Or just?
let's do it anyway. Jennifer, are you
I
going to
will
open
move.
that?
Yeah, I will
and
move
I'll
to allow
second,
Ash.
I'll second it.
Yeah, the motion is allow Ashley Deal in her role as CPA to sign the documents on behalf of Rotary International District 5130.
Thank you. And Dustin is the second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Carol. And now I'd like to adjourn the.
So just real quick, Tom, before you adjourn
Yeah.
the Finance Committee, I want to publicly and for the record thank Carol for all of her work on this. This is an issue that came up with the DOJ and the tax exempt status last year. So she's been working on this for over a year, and it all started because of a wanted to get a request for a raffle. And this is when this was discovered. And it was just because I wanted to raffle off a quilt. And so Carol has spent hours and hours and hours on this project for and on behalf of our board in District 5130. And I just really want to really publicly express my appreciation, Carol. I can't even begin to tell you guys how much work she has put in on this. So thank you. Thank you very much, Carol, for everything.
You're
that you've
welcome.
done.
Thank you,
Jennifer.
for saying that,
Yes.
Jennifer.
And Carol, I know I've given you multiple hugs. Thank you. Thank you again. So,
You're welcome. My
all
pleasure.
right. Now, do I get a motion to adjourn our financial meeting?
So moved, Mike.
Michael says yes. Who's second?
Jennifer seconds.
Jennifer second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. And thank you, Carol, for a great report.
So
You're
Carol, does it
welcome.
mean I can now get my permit to do my raffle of the quilt?
If you'd like, we can reapply for a raffle.
But don't we have to wait until Ashley turns in her stuff?
Yeah, it would be better to not muddy the waters yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
Good. Good.
All right. All right, so now it's an opportunity to go ahead and open the Board of Directors meeting. And once again, hello, Penny. And then I don't know what we had for action item number 1, but let's just go on to number 2, which is a motion to accept the financial reports submitted by the Finance Committee. Anybody?
So moved, Mike.
Michael says yes.
Second.
And Dustin says second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that moves on. So item number one is really, it's kind of interesting that Dan Himmelspec and the Zone has decided that that they will try and throw some money our way to try and help us promote Rotary. And so they've come up with a program. They have $90,000 put aside for the whole Big West zones. And that it comes down to about $3,000, right at $3,000 per district. I know that in my budget, I had $10,000 for branding. I'd like to commit our $3,000 to this and get the matched funds. So we'd have $6,000 to put a program together to try and focus on membership. Is the primary that they want us to do. Now, I have some additional work that I just went ahead and started doing some work on this to figure out where we can go. And I know that I've seen some input from Jeff, and I've seen some input from, I think, from Christine and Jim. I don't think we've really talked about it too much on it. But when we talk about doing things like pull-up banners and stuff like that, the difficulty there is the size of our district and the ability to create some sort of a piece that, you know, how are we going to transport that and get it back and forth? I think that that's going to be difficult. And based on the meeting that I attended, it really looks like the best opportunity for us with a geographic area as big as it is to create some sort of a social media ad campaign. And that ad campaign would be really geared towards going after membership, trying to get people to commit back into being a part of their community and learning about what we do here. If we choose to go forward with this, then we'll put together the committee to try and build out and concur that we have the right messaging going out on this. But one thing that I can say is that if we do this where we do the entire district, the amount of visibility that we would get would be someplace in the neighborhood of over 600,000 impressions we would have per month. If we were to do the 3-month campaign. Membership month being August, the idea here is that we would go ahead and kick off a campaign in June, July, and August would be the wrap up on it. So we'd spend the $6,000, total over those 3 months. Also, I think that it's really important that given the regions that we have, and we often talk about, okay, we're going to go deal with the North or we're going to deal with the South. I think that it makes great sense to be able to do something, to have a landing page placed on our website that this campaign would allow for somebody who's sitting in Eureka to say, well, I'm curious, and they hit the button and they come back to a landing page that focuses on the north part of the district so that it really has a communal effect. People see and understand this is where I live. This is my home. And the same then would happen. I believe we should do this in 3 tiers, that we should have central district as well, and then the southern part of the district. The southern part of the district is the greatest population, and so the opportunities should be greater, given that, if we have the more population down here, we should be able to generate more leads down here. But I think that in all fairness to the entire district, I think that an equal program that would go for those 3 areas and allow for 3 different landing pages that would say, hey, this is what Lake County is, this is what Mendocino is, and then for further up north and again down into the south. So I'd like to go ahead and at least commit our $3,000. I have to prepare it's back over to, I say me, Jim and I are the ones that have to sign off on a campaign. So Jim, I would like to get together with you and maybe talk about how we can go ahead and do this. I have an entire application form that we would fill out based on what we want to do. But there's also in the packet that Mary sent out, you'll see that there's a document in there that will explain what this program is. They're calling it REACH. And so you get a feel for what goes on there. What's so interesting is when you have this large group, the meeting that I attended the other day, you have districts that are very much in a small geographic area, and they can do things like the pop-ups, like a variety of different things, and really have an effect. But I feel that in being fair to the entire district, that we need to have something that's going to allow for everyone to feel like they're a participant in this program. Our membership numbers are up. I'm really excited about that. And if we have an opportunity to try to do this, really what I see is I jokingly have said that my goal this year is to give Jim all the accolades next year. And in fact, to me, that's what Rotary is not about necessarily winning big in my year. It's just winning. We just need to be able to be competitive with others. And so creating a program that would start in June would probably not see a return as far as membership in June, because it also doesn't make sense. Most people would probably wait. They'd come in, do the whole July thing and pick up the whole year. So I really looked at July and August. That would be an opportunity for us then to communicate with the clubs to be able to try and get them to take and do the most that they can to try and build up this whole membership month in August. So that's what I have going on for that. And it's, I mean, I don't think it's not a motion situation, it's a discussion. And you have information to be able to look at it. If you do get an opportunity to read through it and you have questions that are specific to the grant program, just to please pass them back on. Whether or not this program will continue next year, I think will be based on whether or not this program is successful for districts this year. I do think that going forward, and Jim, I think you've got it in your budget too, that going forward, we need to continue to have dollars that are available to try and push the messaging out there for the branding of what our Rotary District is, and to try to continually bring in new members. And I'll say on the new member side of it too, that the amount of interest that has come back through Zone or from RI rather, meaning that, hey, I have a person who's interested. The reach out that I've been doing has been going specifically to the presidents of the clubs. And when one comes in for Napa, I automatically send out the messaging to 3 clubs, and I do the same for any and all. But I think that connection back with the president of the clubs has really turned into something, and we have. I'm really happy. I mean, I think that we've got probably someplace around 32 new members in our district. Doesn't sound like much, but it moved our numbers up from 1,864 to a better number. And if we just get a few more, we're going to be back where we were 2 years ago. So, and we're down 2 clubs. So that's the thing. So any discussion on that?
What was the second club?
Pardon me?
What were the 2 clubs, Middletown and?
Middletown and Del Norte Sunrise, which Jim, you marked Del Norte Sunrise on your sheet for looking for an AG. You don't need one for that one.
Oh,
They've merged. Some of the members merged.
That was a couple years ago. I was just making sure there wasn't an additional one.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, but well, I'll talk about this other one as we go into another phase of this thing. But any other discussion on it or questions?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. It's important to keep our website up to date and like forward looking. It really is. If you're behind by 1 day, you're behind by 2 years on the web. So just kudos on that. And let's just keep our web. Jennifer and I have talked about this in the past. Is just making our website more functional and accessible and kind of like a hub for everything. So the more we can focus on that, or just at least make sure we're giving it the attention that it needs, great.
Right, right. I know I did my updates for my governor messaging and all on that. And then also I've had posts come in from other members in the district saying, hey, they've got a new program that does organ transplants, Rotary Action Group for blood donations, which actually is spinning off and doing the other. So there's an article now that's on our website that talks about that particular group. And I just posted a really nice piece from Hand Wash from the Haiti program, and that's posted on the homepage too. I'm not actually working as the webmaster. The webmaster has been Wyatt Williams, but I have the access and I have the ability to go ahead and do updates as I see them, and I'll continue to put those in. So, thank you. Anything else? Okay, the DGE report. Mute.
Yeah, I was unmuted trying to get a chance to interrupt you, Tom, and then it didn't happen, so I muted me. So here we are. So I don't know if everybody got the report or if it can be put up here, but I'll go through this. Let's see. And feel free to interrupt and if you have any questions. First, the Peace Conference. Very happy to report that we've kind of revamped it. If you followed this at all, or if you've heard my angst in trying to get this going, there's been some fits and starts, and we won't get into those weeds anymore. But everything's been revamped, and I think it's moving along very well. Thanks to Carol. Jeff Colin is helping out with sponsorship, and also Ann Gospey now has offered to be our liaison with the hotel, and so there's been a lot of wrinkles that have been ironed out, and I think it's going to be excellent, and I hope that everyone on this call and everyone we talk to attends and helps to promote it as we move along. But that's going real well. Again, if there's any questions as I move along, feel free to jump in. I'm reading off this, so I can't see the screen.
Hey, Jim, can I just ask you a question? And I know you and I talked a little bit offline about it, but can you explain what the relationship is now, how on the new direction on this, but we're continuing on regardless of whether or not a district has stepped in to say, yeah, we're financially committed to you. But what's your rationale behind that? Because that would be really good.
Yeah, so thanks, Tom. So again, without getting into the weeds, but a sketch of this is we came up with a plan to have an event that mirrors our original commitment with the hotel, which is 100 Rotarians and perhaps 30 youth attending for the weekend. And then that plan can move up incrementally to over 200 Rotarians, but still remain within the parameters of the contract we have in place. There's a few things we have to do when we step up, but we see that we'll be able to do that. What was hitting us in the face prior to that was that we were planning a event that was over 350 people, but we couldn't get the numbers from the hotel. And when we finally did, they were so substantial that the other districts and our district, quite frankly, wouldn't have known how to, to finance it. So the bottom line is we're starting small but strong in putting this together, and we'll be moving it along. Hopefully in mid-August, we'll start registration. We've got some excellent speakers now. Just this week, we've got 3 or 4 new speakers, including Vicki Pullitz, who's going to be coming, who's a past district international director, and quite a few others. So the other thing that we've put in place is Jeff, who's going to be helping with a sponsorship committee. And again, Ann Gospey, working with the hotel. That was a big gap we had, in communication. And of course, Carol. And the other districts are still interested, especially knowing that they won't have a huge financial commitment to put into this. So, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Are there any questions? Okay.
I'll make a comment, just a good job, Jim, like seriously, way to go. And you and Jennifer have been really, really strong in making this happen. This was a commitment we made pre-COVID. And this is what we're living up to. So it's impressive that you're putting this on. Good job.
And I will just tag with that. This has been all Jim, no Jennifer, just so you.
Well, I
He's doing a
appreciate
great
that.
job. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. But the good news is there's high enthusiasm from the Rotarians, who that's the whole reason we're doing this, to attend this and to learn about peace and to bring activities back to their clubs and communities that will be useful in building peace. So besides all the logistical traverses we've had to climb, this is going to be something of value once we get it going. So we'll report more on it as we move along, especially in the July opening board meeting that we have. We'll have quite a bit in place by then. So let me just finish my report here. Pets was a huge success. I got great feedback from all of the president-elects that attended. Dustin, thank you, chairing, and I think it was just a fabulous weekend. I certainly had a great time, but again, I think the feedback, the spirit there from all the districts was just excellent. So that was a fabulous weekend. District training, 5130 training, and our social, I felt was very high-spirited, and I'm grateful to Clark and Jennifer and Tom and Christine and all of you who helped put it together and run some successful breakout sessions. But and we came in under budget, so I think that's great. The rest is just I attended some SCARC dinners, and I visited a few clubs, attended the 100-year anniversary at Calistoga, and I know several of you were there. Attended the district youth exchange reveal evening, and if you haven't done that, it's quite fun. It only comes around once a year, but if you can make it just as a Rotarian, it's pretty cool. So when that comes up again next year, look to perhaps going. I still am looking for 3 AGs. I kind of put this on the back burner. I was filling these spots a couple, 2 or 3 months ago, but got involved in both pets and district training. So now I'm actively looking for, and they're on the screen there.
Jim, I was with Chris Brannon for some function not too long ago, and he was saying that he is willing to step back in and do it again. He just needs to hear from you. So Chris is somebody who could pick up that Ferndale, Fortuna Sunrise, and Garberville, and he's right there in the area. And I'd highly recommend that if he's willing to do it, you ought to reach out to him and grab that one.
Yeah, I will. And Tom, you mentioned that I think to me a week or so ago. Quite frankly, I haven't. This is a list I haven't done anything to, and my intention is to begin on Monday to do this. But I will reach out to him first.
So great.
But if anyone else on the board here knows in the other area, the other 2 areas, some viable candidates, and just quick background, there were at least 6 folks from each of those areas I contacted that for whatever reason didn't want to do it, which is fine. So it's not that we haven't asked folks. So you may send somebody to me that I've already talked to, but you never know. So if you know of a good candidate, I'm willing to give them a call and have a chat with them and see if they would be interested. So that's my report. If there's no other questions, I'm all done.
Great. Thank you. And Christine.
Yes, sir. I am here. Sorry, I'm not on camera, everyone. It's a Wi-Fi thing. I don't want to lose connection with kids playing games in the house as well at this early hour of Saturday. So I have been focusing, I had a lot of bullet points on my report. I just kind of do a little recap every week of what all the meetings I've attended. So the main buckets of activity that I am participating in. First of all, we do have that recruitment flyer, Tom and Jim, that we were going to send out to try to look for future leaders for the district. However, I think, Tom, we were waiting on if you knew where that alias is going on the district position website.
On the,
Was that
I've
determined?
already adjusted that. Well, it is kind of I'm going to talk about that a little bit further on, but at the same time, no, let me just explain that.
Okay.
We had an email that was info at whatever district. It was an email that, as I tried to respond to it, I realized that no, I got no response back from it. And I know I talked to Mary about a few of these. We're trying to track down who has info at rotary5130.org. I've been in conversation with Tom Bogue, who was the one who set up our whole Outlook program with Microsoft for that. And he's still investigating. But in the interim, I went ahead and I made a what would be a blind email on it. So now if anybody is on that page with district positions and they want to inquire about it, they'd hit that and it would automatically come back over. At this point, it comes back over. I see it, but we can adjust that so it goes back over to Jim, goes back over to Christine, goes back over to Jeff, or whoever else that we want to make it go to. It could be that it should also go back over to the secretary to make sure that that the rest of us are on it and seeing it. So that's where I'm at with that. And Christine, that is repaired there, but we're still trying to track down who has. I mean, somebody has District 5130 at Gmail. No idea who it is. Can't seem to get any kind of response on the emails that we've been sending out. And I think that's a problem we need to address going forward.
Right. Okay. Well, so that means we can then get that flyer out, Jim, next week. If you're good with the changes, I'll make sure Sherry makes the changes. And basically what this is, guys, is it's just a general recruitment flyer for the next few years, looking for future leaders in the district, whether it's for DG, whether it's for AG, or just even more senior level positions at the district level. And it's just sort of a very, fun kind of let us know, take a look at these positions on the website. Let us know if you have interest in any of these, reach out to one of us and we can talk with you. So that is going to go out next week. We didn't want it to get in the way of your invitation, Tom, to your district conference. So we'll get that out next week once we confirm the verbiage. The other thing I'm working on with Jennifer, since she's the chair for the zone, is what we're calling PELS now, right? Not pets anymore. It's going to be called PELS, which I'm having a hard time remembering that. But I have stepped up to be the education sort of contact for PELS next year, and getting to know my class better and starting to get to know the presidents for next year, which is really exciting. And learning a lot from Jim, because I know the DGE year is a lot of work. So I'm just preparing for that, trying to get as much done now as I can. Did a speaking engagement at the training assembly with Rainey Howe from the Polly Klaas Foundation on human trafficking and mental health, which I thought went very well. Definitely want to keep mental health, and human trafficking top of mind as we go into the next few years of our district, as well as some of the other initiatives that we've already started. The Singapore boat cruise is hopefully under wraps now that we've got a new chair of kind of working with us from one of the other districts, because the original gentleman stepped out. And I feel like it's in good hands now. We've got the boats secured, we've got the registration secured, the cost secured, and we've added a little pub crawl to it to make it a little more fun for some of the younger people who want to stay out a little bit later, me included, because I still consider myself young. And let's see. And then finally, big news for my district conference in 2026 is we are doing a mega conference with 4 other districts in Reno, May 15th through 17th. It's underway. I did a survey of the district. Just other counterparts of mine didn't want to do that with their districts, but I think it's important to get buy-in from your district before you plan a big event. And I'm happy to say that of the over 100 people that responded this week, we had well over 50% saying that they would like to come to an event like that. And then only about 20% said absolutely not. And then there was another 20% that 20 or so percent that said, I'm not sure, just based on my schedule at that time. So I'm feeling confident that that event will be fun. We'll have breakout sessions, obviously, for 5130 for awards, but it will be a very fun event. So that is it for me. Signing
One
off.
thing, Christine, could I
Yes, sir.
just want to, since I'm looking at your report and it has that, Mary Graves interested in planning a social for Rotaract. This is at the Singapore.
Right.
We're in touch with Mitty. I just want to reinforce the fact that Rotaract is now accepted as Rotary, and
Mhm.
I would love to be able to see the Rotaract program much more embraced as partners in the whole Rotary program. And I think that I guess my point here is that steering them off to be by themselves and apart from the Rotary, the Rotarians of the district, I think might be a little bit of a mistake.
No, yeah,
in
let me
my
give you some
opinion.
context around that. So the good news is the 17 people I just mentioned are the Rotaractors. They are joining us. So that bullet point, since I've written that report, that has changed. The reason Mary wanted it separate is she didn't want to pay the $60 per person. And I have to collect $60 per person. There can't be a reduced rate. If they're true Rotarians, I have to pay what the Rotarians pay. And we did work it out so that they could be covered, and they are joining us. So it will be one event. And I agree with you. But the only reason I had suggested a separate event, which I would have attended, of course, was because they didn't want to pay the full ride for their 60. Yes, Clark. I see Clark's hand is up, but she is on mute.
Hi, yeah, sorry, I'm driving, so I can't tell if
That's okay.
I'm being looked at or not. I just wanted to say that a couple things. As a Rotaractor and going to international conference, well as an individual Rotaract social, because you get to kind of meet other Rotaractors from around the world. But I do love the idea of including them, so that's great.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I would reach out to their sponsoring club to see if there is some sort of mini fundraiser they can do to cover that cost for them.
Yeah, actually, they've worked it out since they worked it out this week. Everything's good now.
Perfect. And then my other thought was I just wanted to mention from a exchange student lens, having a mega conference outside of our district in Reno is super fun. The kids really enjoyed it last time. However, it was very expensive to get them there. We had to rent a bus there, and just the cost to the clubs for food and however you wanted youth exchange to participate. It's just we'll need to make sure that the clubs are aware that the cost for their students that year might be an increased cost from other years.
Great point. I will. And doing it with 4 other districts actually is getting the cost pretty reasonable, believe it or not. But yes, I will keep that in mind, Clark. Thank you.
Christine,
Yes, sir.
what does PELS stand for?
Jennifer, you may have to correct me. President-elect leadership training, right? Or leadership seminar. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's going to be a tough transition.
So is that Rotary wide, Jennifer?
Yes. Yeah, it's a Rotary International change.
Which I don't like, but I'm going to do it just because,
yeah, it's a Rotary International change. It's
Jennifer,
not like Jennifer renaming.
It's seriously an RI change. RI changed it.
Yeah.
So it was nothing that Dustin did?
No, this
broke
is
it.
not, this is
That's
not
the
a,
word.
Way to weigh it.
this is not like Jennifer renaming the assistant governors to area governors. This is actually a very international thing. So.
Yeah, so we're gonna get,
Actually, all right,
we'll all
Okay,
get used to
okay,
it.
okay.
I'd actually heard it was
Right.
learning.
Oh,
President
learning, it
elect
might be
learning.
learning, it might be learning. I'm sorry. I'm just happy that I remembered it was Pels. That's all I can say.
Well, we
Another,
did have
an
a
acronym.
contractor come in this year, and he's like, "So you guys you're gonna have dogs walking around in here and stuff?"
That's
And we're like,
right.
we're like, "Wait a minute, what?" He's like, "Well, it's pets, right?"
Oh, Lord.
So
Well,
maybe-
it's gonna
maybe
be,
Pels
yeah.
will- yeah.
It's going to be great, and we'll get used to the new name. And I'm, as Jennifer can attest to, and I'm sure Jeff and Tom and Jim all feel this about their class, but I have some great classmates, and Dustin too. It's just, it's a really beautiful thing when you get to know your classmates and do work on these things together. And I'm looking very much forward to next year. So that is it for me.
Thank you. And Christina, let me just jump right into one other thing. I'm going to jump over the district conference conversation there, and just a quick thing on RILA. In the notes that were sent out by Mary, there is a document in there. Last year, Jennifer and I brought out these building blocks, and it's a communications game. But I hadn't done it for quite a few years. So I went back out and I found the directions on how to best put that on. And so I think Cassie is very excited about having it again. But if you could, if Christine and Jim, the three of us are invited to go and participate on the opening session for this, and they would like us to play that game, and then also just to share stories about what Rotary is and work with the kids. If we want to have some sort of an offline meeting to be able to talk about how we want to go through this, that would be great. But just for you to be able to download that those notes that I've sent in there, and because it really does a good job of explaining how to make that game work, and I have all the pieces to be able to do that. Okay.
Okay. And it's on my calendar for, I think it's that Monday. So.
Right, but
Let's
we'll
make it
try and set a time where you, Jim, and I can actually have
Yep.
a conversation, okay?
That'd be great. Thank you.
I'll go back up to the district conference. I think it's going to happen sometime in May. Yeah, May 17th, 18th. The 17th, it's all going along. I had a conversation with Valerie earlier last week, and she said that, registrations are beginning to roll in. And I asked her to go ahead and send out a second message. I'll continue to push out messaging on this to try and get people to get inspired and come on down. I'm hoping that, again, the fact that we have the biggest population for the district in the southern portion down here, that we'll be able to grab some people. My biggest competition that weekend is going to be the Sonoma State graduation. And it's not so much that Rotarians have graduates in this program, but that anybody coming from out of area needs to be on top of it with regard to housing. And so there's some hotels that are listed there. There's other hotels in the area. For whatever reason, I lack the ability to put DoubleTree down, but that's, we can go back to that. So, but our speakers are all locked in, and I think that I'm really excited that, so far, Dr. Bob Mosby, who's with Healdsburg Sunrise, has now volunteered to take the panel portion of the day, which is going to be about mental health, with Mary Frances Walsh of NAMI, Sonoma County, with Autumn Boylan, who's the Deputy Director for Health and Human Services for state of California, and also this Jason Reed, who's pretty remarkable. And if you haven't gone in and taken a look at this website, My Story, or tellmystory.org, please do it, because it's really it's an interesting program. He'll be there. He's flying up, and he'll be a participant in that program that day. Dustin, I'd love to be able to connect back with you to talk a little bit about the House of Friendship. We don't have a lot of room, but we do have some room. And I do know that like Rotary Youth Exchange, the Environmental Committee, and probably others would like to be able to set. I think that I had talked briefly with Ann Gosby about possibly a Ukraine display or something that they could have in there. And there is an adequate amount of time in between the second session ending and our dinner seating and dinner program that would give everybody an opportunity to drift in there. And the other big news for Rotary is that we got the facility, Sally Tomatoes is going to open the bar after we're done with our mental health session. And so the bar will be open, the fire pits will be happening. We'll have the environment should be really pretty great. And I'm really delighted to say that with regard to I talked to Hyder and he said that typically the Rotary Youth Exchange might come in, do their participation, and then go off and do their thing. But no, they're locked in. They're going to be with us. Thank you, Clark. We're going to have them from the lunch setting where they'll open the program, and then they will also open the program again just before or at the conclusion of dinner. So that's really great that they'll be there through that. And again, talking to Hyder, he seems to think that there's a tremendous amount of interest on their part with regard to some of these things that we're going to talk about with regard to mental health. So I'm excited for that. And I just, again, throw out more accolades and thank you to Carol. Thank you to everybody who's been involved in that. Darren, maybe we can talk again about how do we park these electric vehicles around the property so that we can coordinate with Hansel, who's been one of the sponsors. And I was delighted to see that we had Exchange Bank actually step up. They kind of paused for a while, but then said, okay, we're there. Dustin, you had a question?
No, I just want to make a comment because I know you were talking about people coming down here from the north and hotel prices. It also might be a good idea to suggest to people that they can stay at Rotarians' houses when they come down here for that weekend. I know we have room and we'd be happy to have people from the north down here. So just putting that out there. I don't know how you might do that, but it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe what I can do is ask Valerie I'll put together an email and throw it back. But really somebody to coordinate that is really what it comes down to. I can put that out there, but then where do they redirect? Where do they direct it to? Somebody wants to put their name on it. And you're right. I know I've talked to Mike Ferris in Petaluma, who said, yes, he has a spot. One of the women in my club, the Windsor Club, Catherine Hanron, has 2 rooms and several beds in there that she's willing to do. So I think that's a great idea. I know that we toyed with that earlier on, but coordinating it means just having somebody to say, okay, well, I'll see who I can move things around with. So if anybody comes up with an idea or you talk to somebody who says, hey, I'd be willing to help out on that, that would be really delightful. And you could let me know.
Clark raised your hand, Tom.
Clark, you raised your hand. Hi.
Hi, I was wondering if there will be opportunity on Friday during the social for the exchange students to get into the main space where we could rehearse the flag ceremony and some of the other pomp and circumstance that comes with the youth exchange portion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we have that space all day Friday and we have it all day Saturday. So the only thing that you have going on in there is there'll be the AV crew that we've hired will be setting up some lighting for the stage, which is good too, because you'll know what not to bump into. But they're the only ones really that will have access into that room or need access into that room. Other than that, most of the activity that we're looking at for the social will be either in what they call the bar area with the bandstand or the outside areas where they have these fire pits and other things going on outside. So yeah, not a problem at all, Clark.
And then as far as details go, if the kids can leave their flags on the stage and stuff like that, should I connect with Kim?
Yeah, why don't we, I mean, I'm going to be there also in that. I can come in and I'd love to be able to kind of talk but yeah, he'd be there. And by the way, we brought back a flash from the past. But we have Kim and David McDonald that are the chairs of this. I think this is their number ninth conference that they've chaired. And although they live in San Diego, they are coming up on Wednesday and they will be totally locked in. So that's the people that we should connect with, Clark. Why don't I get you directly back over to Kim and David, and we can work on the details there. So I'll send out an email to you and to them saying talk, and then that will work out fine. But they're here and they'll be at the facility that from Wednesday on. So. Okay, that's all I have for right now for the district conference, but please push it out there, best you can. Thank you so much. I mean, I tried to do this. They kept saying, hey, do something different, do something different. Jim, have you heard that before? Do something. And so I said, okay, fine, we'll do something. We'll do the one-day program. And of course, then when I asked about the president's rep, they said, well, you can't send the president's rep. You're only doing a one-day program. Anyhow. No problem. I think we have great speakers and I'm looking forward to it. So, and all that information is on the website as well. I'll jump into Rotaract. Really great news. I know that Alice Kibois, who's the president right now of the Rancho Cotati Club, she is willing to step up and become the Rotaract chair for the district at the end of her presidential year. So in July, we'll be able to pick her up and move her right into that other position. I'm really excited about that. I can also tell you that I have been in communication with Alice and with RI. They had been asking about the club and about registrations back into RI. There was some sort of complication that came along, but we got worked through that. And they were trying to say that we had to completely do something new again, but no, we did pick up the charter. I have the official documents and everything saying that we are right there. And they're actually doing pretty well. They're doing so well, and their meetings are so fun that when I told them I'd love to come over and talk with you, they said, we don't have time.
Wow.
So I won't be there, but Jim, you can connect with them, in the coming year. And I think that that's great. So SSU is doing well. I was concerned about the Rotaract program at Santa Rosa JC. And in fact, they were down to 2 people, but now they're back up and now they have approximately half a dozen or 8 people that are in that club, and it has the potential to grow. So I'm excited about that. I'd love to be able to, I mean, we lost Clark on this one, but I'd love to be able to find out if there's any hope at all of doing something to try and resurrect what was at one time probably the jewel of the Rotaract program, which is the Lost Coast Rotaract. But they are completely, there's completely defunct right now. So that's something that, Jim, I'll work with you on it as we start looking at your year to come up. Sonoma County-wide project. At the last SCARC meeting, Sonoma County Association of Rotary Clubs, Hal, and his name is always one of those really interesting last names. So I'll call Hal. Hal was there, and Hal wants us to try and talk about a countywide, Sonoma County-wide project involving all of the members of the SCARC program, so that we can have a lot of visibility in the press and other things. I will say Hal's Club, which has been sponsoring a Learn to Swim program, just had a tremendous amount of information in the Press Democrat. Rotary was very well covered on it. This has been a program that's been going on for 40 years, although only 38 years as a actual working with kids because of the 2 years of COVID. But in that time, I think they said that they've had 13,000 children through that program. And being that drowning is one of the major problems, that's the death situation for a lot of young people. And so they've really turned that corner. They have a great group of volunteers. And I think that article was just absolutely great. And that is the type of a program that not necessarily to learn to swim, but finding a program that could be county-wide, that Rotary would have a brand on it county-wide. So he's going forward with that. I think on Monday, he's got a meeting, an initial meeting on that, and we'll just see how that goes. I think when I look up north, and I just got a report back from Sal Chinichi at the Fortuna Sunrise Club, telling me how many people are involved in the Rio Del project, and it is phenomenal. I mean, I think there's like 10 Rotary clubs that are completely into that, and some that miss the opportunity to double up on the dollars from the district grant, but they still put their $3,000 into that program. So I'm waiting also on good weather up there so that I can get the video. We're trying to do video pieces of these collaboration projects that have gone on in the district this year. And so I talked to Ross Rowley. He's going to try and get me some information on that. I think that would be really wonderful. And so anybody down in the South here in Sonoma County, member of SCARC, you might want to, just make sure that you got somebody from the club that's going to go in and talk with Hal and company about what kind of project we might get into. I love the fact that they're going to preset it. So that's all that I have on that. I have not heard back from Wolf with regard to this on how accessible the DOJ live scan is in the 6 of our counties. I haven't heard on that. And the co-admin, Mary and I have discussed this, but Tom Bogue is... can
we get the agenda back on the screen?
Oh, fine.
Oh, yeah. Just give me a second.
So we're on discussion item number 6. So we have this Microsoft 365, which is a free program to the district because we're nonprofit. They didn't read that DOJ report, evidently, Carol, but so they are giving us that. And Tom, I believe, was the one who initially set this up. And so I'm working back with him. We touched on this a little earlier, the fact that we've got emails associated with this Rotary5130.org that's tied back into the Microsoft 365. And it really puts a limiter on us with regard to what we can do on our website. And I've reached out to DACDB saying, hey, don't we get the opportunity to do that? And he's saying, oh, we don't manage this. Well, we don't. It's back over to Tom and the program that goes on there. We need to find somebody to co-work this. We need another individual. Tom it's great that he's up for it, but I don't think we don't want to get in a situation where we're relying on that one person to be able to access this. Now, Mary, I know you have some accessibility on this, right? And and I'm sure that can transition back over to Penny, but I don't believe that either of you want to be the admin per se on this. To have some support would be extremely important. And last month we had a situation, or 2 months ago, where we had to go back to Tom in order to get him to access the support network that's available for Microsoft, because just anybody in the program doesn't get that opportunity to get in there and actually find and get answers from their support crew. And I don't know if that's something because we're the freebies. I don't know. Mary, any ideas?
Well, right now, as far as admins go, there are 3 co-admins at present time. Myself, Tom Bogg, and I created a co-admin for Penny, but of course she's not in the role yet, but she will have that ability to do that. So at some point, Tom's gonna help me transfer the admin from me to Penny, because I'm not really sure how to do that, but he's gonna walk me through it. But what we're looking for is just an additional backup person in case, Tom's excellent. He knows just about everything I've come to him with. He has a solution for it, or he knows how to find it. And it doesn't come up very often. I probably reached out to him once last year. But when I do need him, I need him. So it's just good to have a backup person. I don't have anybody else in mind right now.
Well, maybe that's something that goes back out with your letter, Jim, that we put something on there that we're looking for somebody to help us administer our Microsoft 365 program. Because I'm sure that there's a lot of people. I personally am all over the Google worksheet, the Google program for my company and all that. And rarely do I use Microsoft, this particular program, as Mary can attest to.
And that most people don't use it regularly. The people that use it regularly, most regularly, be Carol. She does for financial reports and her posting there. And then I use it fairly regularly. But Tom hadn't been on it. I had to get him a new password. He hadn't been on it in 2 years. So he's not on there very often, but he's an expert at OneDrive.
Penny?
I will say too that Tom set that up like during my year, and he's incredible at that Microsoft. He knows pretty much everything about it, and he has all the solutions. So anyway, it'd be helpful to have a backup, but like I think it's been incredible.
I think it would be great for us to free up the web address or the email addresses so that we can actually utilize them in a way that would be beneficial. Info at, registration at, whatever, that those types of things that we could do with that. But Penny?
We have a great IT person in our club, Dave Lorenzen, and he's familiar with this program, so he might be a good secondary backup to Tom.
Wonderful.
Great idea.
And Tom.
Yeah, wonderful.
I'd like to follow up with you maybe after this meeting, next week or so, about these emails. Anyway, I don't want to get into it yet,
Okay.
but I think if you and I could have a discussion, or you, I, Christine, and Jeff, I have some ideas that might keep this from happening later. So anyway, I have a lot of questions, but some ideas as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, totally up for it. We have this discussion item 7, carryover. More small clubs having a hard time finding PEs and sending PEs to pets is sometimes a financial strain. I don't know that we had any action items on this last time out with regard to what we were going to do on it. I think that our discussion then, didn't we talked about the fact that having the PELS program have the opportunity to give past presidents an opportunity to have a special section where they can just be refreshed is kind of a nice idea. I think that it's interesting that for the PEs that where they have the financial strain for those clubs, if we're allowed as governors to, and Jennifer, maybe you kick in on this, but if we're allowed as governors to work with persons that are unable to attend the PELS program, then why wouldn't we be able to work with those that are having a financial strain to be able to, I recognize that the program is all about the camaraderie, the connection, the inspiration, all that goes with the PELS program. But at the same time, if in fact your restriction is based on financial abilities, I don't think it'd be a good idea for the district to start stepping up to providing those dollars on that. But at the same time, is what would be the thought about having the governor be able to sit down with those individuals and take them through the paces of the PELS program?
Dustin, do you want to comment on that first as the immediate past chair of it?
Yeah, I can comment a little bit on that. And this is the conversation I started. And it's I agree with everything you said, Tom. It's difficult. However, you know, putting like the as a governor elect, you have so much to do already. That's the benefit of having like a multi-district pets, is that you have everyone come into the same place, get trained at the same time. It's per our eye, it's your obligation to train president elects if they don't get this certification. So, I mean, certainly, you know, with smaller clubs, you could sit down with them and do that. That's just another thing on your diet. That's fine. Um, you know, my comment is, you know, it is really just, I want to keep the ball in the air around this. And it's something we need to think about. Pels is incredibly important for clubs. It is. And I think anyone that was at, well, that was there last year, you know, can see that. So, I just want to keep this as a consideration, and I want to find some sort of like, you know, way that we can address this, because it's honestly it's probably one of our biggest barriers to entry of being a club president, especially for small clubs, is the cost of, you know, going and staying, you know, 2.5 nights in San Jose. So that's all I have to say.
You know, I would think that if we were to at least know that we have an alternative route, but that we just don't publicize that at all, and we wait to hear from those clubs, or do you think that the clubs having that difficulty are looking for us to make a public comment about what it is? In other words, I could easily see us reaching out, which I did this year, for a couple of people, one with a legitimate excuse for not being able to attend due to a death in the family, and the other was just somebody that the timing didn't work out. They couldn't do it. And so to be able to meet with them and go through the paces on it, I agree with that, you know, on that side of it. If it's something that we deal with a one-off, you know, where they do that rather than promote the idea that this is available, because as soon as we promote it, that's when we'll have a big, you know, number of people saying, well, hell, I can just have you come up.
Right.
drive
So
up-
I'm gonna jump in
That's
here.
the fallout. That's the fallout.
Right.
Is
I'm
that
gonna jump in here,
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna carry on the discussion. So it's very unusual for a district to have back-to-back chairs of pets/Pels. And the reason that our District 5130 has is because, you know, Dustin was the chair last year. I'm the chair upcoming, is because Hawaii dropped out of it a few years ago. So we had to get the rotation back on track. But I will comment on a couple of things. You know, number one, it is a requirement of the district governor to make sure, the district governor-elect, to make sure that their president-elects have been trained, you know, in that role of president-elect. So it's actually an RI requirement, and it should be an RI requirement of the district governor. So that's thing number one. There is no rule against a district governor providing that training one-on-one with a club president. Back when I was district governor-elect, I had to do a couple of them because the president-elects were unable to attend the San Jose event, and also were unable to attend any other district or any other president-elect training out there. We had a few that did a virtual through the Northwest Pets and such, but it is the requirement as the role of being district governor-elect to verify that all of your presidents have been trained. I would be very careful about advertising that is an option, because then what you have is a situation where that's where these clubs are going to go, and there is a certain amount that gets lost, because even though you do go and you do that training one-on-one with those clubs, it is not nearly as intensive. It is not nearly as
we'll call it immersive. It's not immersive.
and it's not as broad. So as far as the cost goes, one of the things, and I know that this isn't a meeting to discuss all of this, but just to finish up this concept and talk about it, is that I am working on getting sponsorships for the president-elect training that's never been done in our pets before. And I'm pretty sure that it's an opportunity that has been lost over a lot of years. And by getting those sponsorships, there will be discussion at the with the district governor, nominees soon to be elects, as well as the PETS committee about how those sponsorships are used. And one of the thoughts and ideas on those is maybe to provide some sort of a scholarship program, in a very clear and concise manner, to be able to keep some of those expenses with this training as low as possible, because it is really important that it isn't just a training one-off, at the district level. So I think that there's some more discussion on it. If you're interested, one of the things that we are going to be sending out here very quickly is anybody who is interested in wanting to be involved in PETS. We're going to be taking indications of interest for folks that want to get involved from the planning standpoint of PET/PELS going forward, and how we are able to reach those clubs that maybe have some financial constraints.
What about Pels?
Yeah, that's going to be adjustment.
Thank you. Well, with that, unless there's another item, miscellaneous thing that somebody wants to, anybody for the
There is
yes,
actually.
Dustin.
I still have to allocate my unused funds from my year as governor. Carol, I can't see you on the screen. Are you still here?
I asked you about that a couple days ago, Dustin, and you didn't respond to me, so I didn't put it on the agenda.
No, that's fine. I caught your email this morning and I saw the amount. So do we have to reopen a specific meeting to do this, or can we do this in this meeting?
Well, I'm not prepared to discuss it because I don't have the reports ready. I mean, I'd have to go find them and everything, and I don't want to take it's probably going to take me 15 minutes to find where I've got stuff.
Are we in a time crunch here, Dustin, where we have to do it this year?
It probably could be something done by email. I didn't realize it would be that complicated. I thought it was just a number, an allocation, and a vote, which we have, but it's fine. I can send it out. I can send my recommendation out in an email to the board, and we can do that through email.
Have you thought about what you'd like to do with the money, Dustin? Because that was the stopping point at our last board meeting. We had the numbers, but you wanted some time to consider.
No, certainly I have. Half of it I want to go to Polio Plus, and then the other half of it I want to go to another just general fund in the district for mental health. I know that's important to Tom. I know it's important to Jim, and I think it's important to Christine as well. So I think that'd be something we could put as a ledger in our district budget for that.
Dustin, I had another idea, which I'd like to talk to you following the meeting. Not a big chunk, but a small chunk, if that would be okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
So
if that's the case, then Jim, if you communicate with Dustin, if you make an adjustment on the areas that you want to be able to do that with, then we can do it by email after the fact.
Yeah, and I can come up with the supporting reports to send.
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Okay.
So yeah, Jim, I'll await your conversation, and then I'll send it out in the email, and it'll be all good.
Yeah, Dustin, do you know the approximate amount?
It's right around $14,000.
Wonderful. All right, any other items? Well, this is coming down to the wire here. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with every one of you, and I look forward to seeing, the leadership changes that go on, and being able to work under Jim and Christine and Jeff down the road. But I thank you. I mean, I'm sometimes, very rarely, but I could be speechless.
Never.
Well, I'll just say, I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you for your participation, for your support, for your guidance, for your leadership, for your heart. And I think that if anything, this year has been, I know I heard Jennifer talk about it last year, that it's got to come from the heart. then it goes to the mind. And I really feel that it's caught my heart to be a part of this, to be with you. I thank you so much for all your support. Thank you again. And with that, do I get a motion to get us out of here?
So moved.
I'll second.
Here's the first, the second. And hey, is anybody opposed? Want to just kind of keep talking? Oh, you want to go out and enjoy the sun? Is that what it is? Okay, fine. All right. Well, with that, then this meeting is adjourned. And Mary, I look forward to seeing your notes. And once we get them approved, I don't know, you might want to hold off a little bit and see if Dustin and Jim have their conversation, and Dustin sends something back over to Carol, and then we can add that into the posting that we'll do on it. So if Dustin, there's just a little bit of a time frame there, but that's great.
That's good.
You know?
And Mary, if you could sign those bank resolutions and send the signed copies back to me,
Absolutely.
that would be great. Thank you.
All right.
Ciao.
Yo.
Everybody.
See ya. Bye.
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 See ya.